What does it take not to die in a world where everyone wants to kill you? Your partner wants to kill you. Your distributor wants to kill you. Your wife is slowly starting to think about killing you. And at the same time, the DEA literally lives next door in the form of your brother-in-law. And you know what? Westeros is the exact same experiment, only with dragons, without the DEA, and with a much more open policy regarding poison at the dinner table. The logic of survival there is absolutely the same. Adapt, betray first, trust no one, and never, do you hear me? Never show your true goal ahead of time. So today, we're taking the most iconic characters from Albuquerque and throwing them straight into Westeros. Who will survive? Who will rise to be a court advisor? Who will die beautifully and tragically at the Red Wedding? And who will burn right at the start without even having the time to understand what is happening? Let's figure it out right now. Before we start sorting people into their spots, we need to agree on the rules. Tier S, the Iron Throne. This isn't just survived. This is survived, got rich, rewrote history, and died when they decided to. The people in this tier are the ones for whom Westeros is not a test, but their natural habitat. They don't adapt to the world adapts to them. Tywin Lannister would look at them with respect. Tier A, Jack of all trades. Found their place, not at the top, but high enough to die old and rich, instead of young and in a ditch. Advisor, mercenary, merchant with a knife hidden away. It doesn't matter. The main thing is they settled in. The system accepted them because it needs them, and that is the best insurance in Westeros. Tier B, mercenary with a heart. They would hold out for a while. They have the skills, the instincts, the usefulness, but there is one fatal weakness. Moral, emotional, or just chronic bad luck at the most inopportune moment. The audience loves these types in Westeros, which means Martin will kill them. That's the law of the genre. Tier C, The Red Wedding, a classic of the genre. Reached an important moment, found their place, thought everything was under control, and then a crossbow from behind the curtain. Poison in the wine. Betrayal by the person they trusted most in the world. Died beautifully, dramatically, and with meaning. We all sobbed, and then rewatched that episode again. Tier D, Season 1, good people, honest people, people who believe that justice exists, that good deeds are rewarded, and that trust is the foundation of relationships, not a vulnerability. Remember Ned Stark? Exactly. Handsome, noble, dead at the end of the first season.
A very small man can cast a very large shadow.
Let's start with Hank. I won't lie, I feel bad for Hank. Truly, bro is literally an excellent cop. An analyst, stubborn as a tank, a genuinely brave man who doesn't lose his head in real danger, and thinks fast. He found Heisenberg when the rest of the DEA apparatus was looking the other way. That means something. But here's the absolute problem. All of Hank's superpower is tied to institutional authority. He wears a badge. He believes in the system. He thinks the law is something real and functional. In Westeros, the law is whoever has the most troops, the most gold, and the least remorse. A badge doesn't work there. Procedures don't work. The concept of a lawful arrest doesn't exist there as a concept at all. Hank, in Westeros, is Ned Stark, just without the honor, without the great name, and with a louder laugh. His liege lord will betray him, or his colleagues, or both at once on the very same day. He will die, absolutely not understanding how it even happened. Tier D, no questions asked.
You're too stupid to see.
Marie Schrader. Marie is actually smarter than people give her credit for, and that's not a polite compliment, it's a fact. She's a psychologist, she's observant, she knows how to read people, knows how to keep secrets, and knows how to say exactly what a person wants to hear at the right moment. At court, she would find a place, a companion, an advisor, a person with access to the right ears and the right people. This is a serious position in Westeros. But Marie is too emotional in her loyalties. She gets attached to people and to houses in a way that interferes with cold calculation. She will bet on the wrong horse, not because she's stupid, but because she's too loyal. And she will die along with her patron at the exact moment she finally felt safe. A Westeros classic. Tier C.
I just wanted to do you the courtesy of giving you my honest opinion.
Mike Ehrmantraut. Mike is an absolute, consummate professional with an internal code that he never breaks. Never. And this is simultaneously his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. In Westeros, Bro would become the ideal king's man, captain of the guard, master of covert operations, a man trusted precisely because he has no ambitions for the throne. He doesn't want power. He wants order, a job done, and for his granddaughter to be safe, and that's it. Such people are worth their weight in gold in Westeros, because they can be given assignments without fear of betrayal. But here is the paradox. This is exactly what will kill him, because at some point, he will be ordered to do something that contradicts his code. Kill an innocent, betray the one he serves, do something he cannot agree to, even for the sake of survival. And then, either he breaks, or they break him. Mike would rather let himself be killed than break his own rules, but up until that moment, he will live a long time. A very long time. And he will be damn effective. I was thinking of putting him in Tier A. All things considered, though, I think he fits better in Tier B. Best regards.
It was perfect, but no.
Todd Alquist. Okay, now this is a truly interesting case, because Todd is a character who is easy to underestimate. And in Westeros, underestimated people live longer. Todd is terrifying precisely because he absolutely does not look terrifying. Soft, polite, diligent, always ready to help. And at the same time, he can kill a child in front of everyone and in the next second ask if we're going to get lunch, without the slightest change in intonation. In Westeros, Bro would be the perfect enforcer for any lord. Zero morality, zero unnecessary questions, 100% loyalty to whoever pays. He would be valued, he would be used. But here's the problem. People without their own ambitions and without attachments in Westeros ultimately become either a threat or a witness, and they get rid of both in exactly the same way there. Todd will die quietly, quickly, and completely unnoticed. They won't write a thing about him in the Chronicles. Tier C.
Shit happens, huh?
Saul Goodman. Let's seriously think about what Saul Goodman is as a character. This is a man who existed his whole life in the space between legal and illegal, and felt like a fish in water there. He's not just a lawyer. He's an architect of schemes. He knows how to convince anyone of anything using words, and not through head-on deception, but by creating a narrative that people start to believe themselves. There are no lawyers in Westeros, but there are advisors, there are negotiators. There are people who know how to turn political disasters into manageable situations, for a separate fee and with separate guarantees. Jimmy McGill would find his niche instantly. His main superpower? Everyone underestimates him. Always. He looks unserious, like a clown, like a second-class person. But during this time, he has already built 3 emergency exits and knows what to blackmail half the court with. A maester without a chain. An advisor without a title. The guy whom everyone uses and no one takes seriously, until it turns out he outplayed everyone. Saul in Westeros will get rich, find the right people, make the right connections, and leave for Braavos under a fake name exactly 5 minutes before everything starts collapsing around him. That is his absolute pattern. We saw it in Better Call Saul. We saw it in Breaking Bad. He survives precisely because he knows how to disappear in time. Tier A, firmly and confidently.
Beautiful.
Eso es un Salamanca.
Hector Salamanca. Okay, let's analyze this case carefully because it's not obvious. An old man in a wheelchair who only knows how to ring a bell sounds like easy prey in a world where everyone walks around with swords, right? Absolutely wrong. Hector Salamanca is a man with infinite patience and hatred that doesn't cool off for decades. Bro literally blew himself up just to take Gus Fring with him, and this is after years of immobility, helplessness, and humiliation. In Westeros, there would be no explosives, but there would be a man whom everyone considers weak and whom everyone underestimates. And in Westeros, it's exactly those who are underestimated who are the most dangerous. Hector's enemies would die one by one, and for a long time, no one would be able to understand how exactly it's happening. Tier B. Walter White, the chemistry teacher from the pilot. I'm not talking about Heisenberg, we'll get to him. I specifically mean the Walter he was at the very beginning. Shy, suppressed with an unrecognized genius complex who spends his whole life smiling at people he despises. This man would survive in Westeros for 2 weeks tops, and not because he is weak, but because he is weak on the outside, but with huge, poorly hidden ambitions on the inside. In Westeros, this isn't just a vulnerability, it's an invitation. Any smart person at court will smell the threat behind those kind eyes before Walter even has time to make his first move. They will take him out quietly, preemptively, and without unnecessary drama. One day, the teacher just won't come home, and no one will be particularly surprised. The chemistry teacher, of course, Tier D.
Well, that's all of life.
Skyler White. Skyler is smart. She adapts. She knows how to lie convincingly, knows how to keep a straight face in situations that would break an ordinary person in 5 minutes, and knows how to find her niche in a system she didn't choose. This is a genuinely valuable skill set, especially in Westeros, where ladies at court survive precisely by knowing how to play these games. But here is her main problem. and at the same time her main feature, she's reactive. She responds to threats instead of creating them. She only makes a move when she's already pinned against the wall. In Westeros, this works up to a certain point, and then it stops working sharply and completely. Skyler would hold out decently, find her place, maybe even rise quite high. But at the most crucial moment, she would be set up by someone close to her, because that is exactly how Westeros always works. Tier C. Jane Margolis. It hurts to say this, but Tier D. Jane is smart, strong. She has character, and she has will. But Westeros is a world in which there is absolutely not a single tool that would help a person with an addiction not just survive, but even stay afloat. There is opium in the port taverns, there are rich lords who gladly exploit someone else's weakness for entertainment and control. And there is not a single support structure, not a single person who would care. Her story there would end even faster than in Albuquerque.
I've gone where the universe takes me my whole life.
Jesse Pinkman.
Oh, well, Heil Hitler, bitch! And let me tell you something else.
Listen, this is the hardest decision in the whole tier list. Seriously. Because Jesse is one of the most alive characters in the history of television, and part of you wants to shove him into Tier A just out of love for him. But that is exactly why Westeros will kill him. Let's be real. Jesse is a romantic. Not in the sense of love's flowers, but in the sense that he is looking for meaning, family, redemption, someone to save. He gets attached to people so strongly that it becomes his main vulnerability. In Westeros, this isn't a character trait. It's an illuminated target on your back. Jesse would find a place for himself, a mercenary, a man with a rare skill, someone useful and dangerous. He would hold out, but at some point, he would take pity on someone who absolutely cannot be pitied. Or he would step between a lord's sword and some kid on the street. Or he would refuse to follow an order because it would be wrong. And that would kill him. His death would be beautiful, tragic, and unbearably unfair. The whole audience would be sobbing. Martin would personally write this episode with immense pleasure. Tier C, and it is the most honorable Tier C on our list. Gustavo Fring. This is a character who, when talking about Westeros, makes you physically feel just how perfectly he fits in there. Gus is Tywin Lannister without the surname, without the army, and without the inherited position. A man who built a multi-million-dollar empire literally out of nothing, out of emigration, out of loss, out of a situation where he had absolutely nothing but intellect and iron discipline. Patience? He waited years to avenge his murdered friend. Not months, years. And all this time he smiled, built, expanded, created a network. Cruelty, absolute, but strictly dosed. Only when mathematically necessary and never for pleasure. The ability to inspire trust? Everyone around him sincerely thought he was just an honest restaurateur with a good reputation. Bro is literally made for Westeros. He would make it to the very top, hand of the king at a minimum, but more likely the man standing behind the hand of the king, pulling the right strings. His only vulnerability, personal revenge, sometimes clouds his perfect calculation, making him predictable to those who are attentive enough. But the person who would notice this and try to use it would die before they had time to formulate a plan. Gus doesn't give second chances. That is a rule without exceptions. Tier A, and he stands right on the border with S. Lydia.
Zu Herrn Frote gehen und sagen, wir können unsere Zielvorgaben nicht einhalten. Also.
Let's be real. Lydia is Littlefinger in a skirt, with paranoia on max settings and a chamomile tea in hand. She builds networks, manages logistics on a global scale, and creates the perfect illusion of legality where everything is rotten with crime. In Westeros, she would be a trade magnate or a treasurer, a person who can never be reached directly because there are always 10 layers of middlemen between her and any problem. Everyone owes her money. Everyone depends on her trade routes. Everyone needs her at the same time. And that is the best defense in the world. Her weakness is paranoia. She sees threats where there are none, and at some critical moment, this is exactly what will let her down. She will make a mistake, overestimate the threat, and strike first when she shouldn't have, and set off an unstoppable chain reaction. But up until that moment, rich, influential, and completely untouchable. Tier B. And here we are at the only name that belongs here. Walter White, Heisenberg. Not the chemistry teacher, not the loving father, not the cancer-stricken man you feel sorry for. Heisenberg, the one and only. Let's be real, Walter White is one of the most carefully crafted villains in television history, precisely because he is believable. This isn't a comic book villain, not a fairy tale villain. He wasn't born a monster and didn't receive the superpower of villainy along with his diagnosis. He became one, slowly, through a series of choices, each of which seemed justified in the moment, through small compromises that kept getting bigger. Do you know where else exactly the same thing happens? In Westeros. With every second Great Lord, This is literally their origin story, from Tywin to Cersei to Littlefinger himself. It's not an anomaly, it's the norm. Heisenberg in Westeros wouldn't get lost and wouldn't break. He would adapt, because adaptation is his main feature. An absolute infinite ability to reinvent himself for new circumstances. He was a teacher. Then he became the king of the Albuquerque criminal underworld. In Westeros, he would become something else entirely. An alchemist whose poisons no one can replicate. An advisor whom everyone fears, but no one can remove because he is too necessary and knows other people's secrets too well. The head of a house that grew out of nothing, and in 20 years became one of the most influential people on the continent. And now imagine this in a world where poison is a legitimate political tool, where chemistry is considered black magic and provokes religious fear in people, and where there is not a single structure that could set boundaries for him. His intellect in this world is an absolute weapon. His ability to see the weaknesses of specific people and press exactly on them is a political currency of the highest order. His ability to create narratives about himself. I'm just a teacher. I'm just helping my family. I'm doing this for others, would work in Westeros with terrifying efficiency, because everyone around there does exactly the same thing. He would be in his element in this world from day one. And you know what the most important thing is? Heisenberg would only die in Westeros when he himself decided to die. Because in Breaking Bad, that is exactly what he did. Went out on his own terms when there was nothing left to lose and everything important was done. That is his pattern. That is his finale. In Westeros, this would look like a legend. Tier S.